Hello Year 10. I'd like to begin by thanking the overwhelming majority of you for engaging so effectively in our remote learning programme last week. In an unprecedented time for education, it is vital that we are using every week to get ahead of our competitors in other schools, such that when we sit GCSE exams in a year or so, we are in a prime position to capitalise on our advantage. Equally, I'm a firm believer in the power of the mind as long as it is drilled rigorously, and we cannot allow ourselves to lose our intellect through inactivity. To that end, I thought it was really important that I went through a couple of problems that seem to be causing people a lot of problems on MathsWatch this past week, and equally, I felt it appropriate for me to deliver a bit of content that will help you with the following week's problems. So we're going to begin that by looking at this question here. The table gives information about lengths of time in hours some children spent watching television last week, and you're asked to draw a histogram for the information in the table. Now, a histogram shows frequency using the area of its bars, not the height of its bars. So you'll see that the y-axis is labelled frequency density, not frequency. So we need to calculate our frequency density. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to label this column frequency density, and if my handwriting was neater I might be able to fit the whole thing in. And then I'm going to use my formula. Frequency density is equal to frequency divided by the class width. Now, I'm just thinking about that really as frequency is the area of my bar, so it must be width times height. So in this case, in my first situation then, my frequency is 8 and my width is 10, so I have 0.8 as my frequency density. Then my width is 5, my frequency is 15, so I have 3 as my frequency density. Then 5 and 10, so I have 2 as my frequency density. I'd know that was immediately wrong because my y-axis doesn't even go up to that value. And then width of 10, frequency of 11, so 1.1 for my final bar. And so I draw all of my bars on here. So I have between 0 and 10 a height of 0.8. So I look at my scale, I have 10 boxes going up to 1, so 0.8 is 8 boxes. And then 10 to 15, I have a height of 3. You obviously have the drawing tools on MathsWatch that require you to be very precise when drawing these. I do have a ruler nearby, but that's not really the purpose of this exercise. Then 15 to 20 is a height of 2. And then 20 to 30 is a height of 1.1. And so I have all of my bars drawn here. Now we're going to return to that graph in a little while to talk through something for next week, but that's as much as you were expected to do on MathsWatch this week. A second question I'd like to look at here, the incomplete table and histograms give information about the waiting time in minutes experienced by patients at a dental surgery. You're given the histogram again, but this time you're not given a height for the frequency density. So I look and I have between 0 and 30, but I don't know the frequency for that. Between 30 and 40, I do know the frequency for that. And then between 40 and 60, I don't know the frequency for that. So I need to use my second bar to work out my y-axis scale. And I know from before that frequency density is equal to, and then I have frequency divided by width, just like in the previous question. So I want to work out effectively this height, my frequency density. So let's call that x. So I know that x then is going to be equal to my frequency, 35, divided by my width, which is 10, 30 to 40. So I know that this value here is 3.5. I look at my squares, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large squares. And so that tells me that each large square is 0.5 on my scale. From there I can then work out my frequency for 0 to 30, because now I know my height is 1.5, and my width is 30, so 1.5 times 30 is 45. And then 40 to 60. My width is 20. My height is 2.5. So 20 times 2.5 is 50 people. Then I'm asked to complete the histogram. So between 60 and 80, I have 20 people. So that means my frequency density must be 20 over 20, must be 1 as such. And then between 80 and 100, I have 10 people. So frequency 10 over width 20 must be 0.5. And that's all you've been asked to do this week. Now I want to talk about how we can make this harder and use histograms to estimate the median values. And to do that, I need to work out several things about my graph. So it is only an estimate of my median, and I'll talk through why that is as I do my process. But my median value, I need to know how many people in total are going to be being assessed. So I have 45 plus 35, that's 80, plus 50, that's 130, plus 20, that's 150, and plus 10, so I have in total 160 people. And so my median value, which I'm going to write as quartile 2, 50% above, 50% below, is at 80 people. And so my median value here then, I've got 45 between 0 to 30, and then I've got another 35 from 30 to 40, so my median value is 40, because 80 people are below 40, 80 people are above 40. But it's not always that simple. If I look at my second histogram, which is the one we completed earlier, then my total frequency here, 8 plus 15 is 23, plus 10, 33, plus 10, 44. So I have 44 this is people in total. So my median is a 22nd person. And if I look, I have 8 in my first width and then 15 in my second. So between 0 and 15, I have 23 people. So I can't just read off my graph. But what I do know is that my median is going to be somewhere in my second bar. And in fact, I know that so 8 plus 15 is 23, so because I need to be 14 people into my bar, 14 fifteenths into my bar, this is going to be 14 fifteenths of my width of 5. So I'll repeat all of that again. So I need the 22nd person. I know that the first 8 people go up to 10, and then the next 15, so 23 people in total, go up to 15. I only need 14 out of those 15 people, so I need to advance 14 fifteenths into my bar. In other words, my median value is going to be 10, that's just how far I advanced by the first 8 people, plus 14 fifteenths, the number of people in my range 10 to 15 that I need to advance, multiplied by my class width, 5. So I take my calculator, I have 10 plus 14 over 15 times 5, which gives me 14.7 to 3 SF. And that seems a very sensible median, seeing as I'm almost getting to 15, but not quite. Now that's a very difficult concept to get one's head around, I appreciate. I've spoken through it in a simple example and a much more complex example. And obviously the Maths Watch videos will also be able to help you, as will the textbook pages I post. But hopefully that's elucidated some of the trickier ideas I'm going to be expecting you to grapple with in the coming week. Thank you.